Okay, in this video, we're going to be making this fun little vase for Mom. Now, it can be a vase, it could be a pencil holder, it could be pretty much anything you want it to be. And what you're going to need for this, okay, you're going to need some kind of jar. I like some pickle jars, some things like that. You can make it any size that you want. You might want to limit any kind of writing and things like that. Okay, that's why this one might not work as well. It might have a little texture in that area, which can be fun and okay. So if that's all you have, it's going to work. It just might show a little bit of that texture. But that's why mason jars, they will work again, but it could be a little tricky in some areas depending on how much stuff is in it. I also had a little perfume jar that I found and I made a little one out of. And that's a little different. So you're going to need a jar. Okay. Glass jars look really nice, but like this, my water container is actually plastic. It's an ice cream container. That would work well too if you don't want to have glass. Okay. So what we're going to do is actually cover that. And what we're using, okay, you can use two things. You can use just basic tissue wrapping paper. Okay, that's what I did on here. And I cut out my pieces to be like little petals. So kind of like half circle shapes. And I stacked them. But I found that was a lot of work for a little reward. So if you want to do that, you can. Simple squares would work. But I just made this little one with regular tissue paper. The other one, this guy, was made with, you remember those coffee filters that we colored with marker? That's what I did with these. And mine was kind of a rainbow one. I had a good variety. So that's how I made that. Now what we're going to do is with those coffee filters, you're going to take them. Here's some of mine that I had dyed. And I have some already cut out. Okay. And what I did is I cut them out just in kind of triangle form. You do not have to be very tricky with this, okay? You can even fold it in half, and I have a few in here so that I can get more at a time. And what I started doing was just kind of cutting triangles out. Kind of going all the way around the edge, getting some triangles. And then you can even kind of cut off those triangles that you created. Oh, got a little caught in there. I'm not going to get too crazy. You don't want to make them super huge because then, you don't get as much of that effect. You can make them smaller. You could make them bigger and see how it works for you. But all in all, you'll have all of your little paper triangles. Okay? Now, the thing that we're going to get these to stick onto our jar with is we're going to use Modge Podge. Okay, you can get glossy satin matte style Modge Podge, and if you don't have this is basically kind of like a clear fixative. You want it to be sticky so that it'll help. But what I've done at school, because I don't always buy the Modge Podge, is I've taken regular glue, just regular Elmer's glue, and diluted it down with water. So I added, it was probably about 75% glue, 25% water, or a little more water. You can kind of see how you want it, because you want it to kind of have it's not going to be clear. It's still going to be kind of that opaque white. It will dry clear, okay? But you don't want to have too much glue because you want it to still be able to go on with a brush, okay? So you're going to use a paintbrush. You can use one of those foam brushes. If you have to, you can figure out, maybe you put it on with something else. But I do feel a foam brush or a paintbrush works pretty well. It can be wet. I kind of rinse mine out from time to time, okay? So your glue mixture, and if you have clear glue, I would dilute, you could use that too. I would dilute that down with water as well. Just a little bit, okay, because that's more clear. Big trick with this, you never want to glob it on because it kind of can get a little too opaque, which it shows the white. But I'm going to start adding my stuff. And you can start at the top and work your way down. You can work in sections, however you want to do it. I kind of work in sections. And I do this middle part, and then I do my top and bottom last. But it's really up to you. But I'm going to add my Mod Podge just right on here. And don't do too much of this first layer because it dries kind of quickly. So you want to be able to add it as you go. So you might want to set up what you wanted to do, which I didn't. But I'm going to do some of these greens and blues. Now, if you don't think you're liking it as it goes, you can always change it up. But I kind of thought I'd do a theme of green and blue here, and I might change my mind as I go. But right now, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to overlap slightly, but when you overlap, meaning go over top, sometimes you see how these are sticking up. So I'm going to kind of get a nice layer on here that I like. And I think looks pretty good before I move to the, and you can only put on one at a time. Do not try to glob a bunch on at once. Okay, now here is the tricky part. So I have this, but you see how it's all coming up. So I'm going to take this Mod Podge and I'm going to actually go under some of those areas that are sticking up and then go over my piece. Because eventually you're going to cover this all with the Mod Podge to give it like a clear, or your glue mixture to give it like a clear finish. So we really want these to lay down flat. So you notice how I'm taking my brush and I'm flattening it down as I go over. So you're kind of getting that final step done early. But now I have glue on this part and I'm just going to extend it out a little bit because I'm going to add more. Okay, so you just keep on building and building until you have enough on it. Now, here's another thing you can do is say you have a printer. Since this is for Mom, maybe you print out a picture of, or if you have an extra copy of a picture or something already out, you could print that out, and then around this maybe you stick a picture right here of Mom, or maybe you make a heart and put it there, or a picture of you and Mom. I'm sure she'd like a picture of the family or you and her. Okay, or maybe you write her a little poem. Okay, and you put that on there. So you can actually, anything that's paper, you can Mod Podge on here. You just got to make sure you stick it down first like we're doing, and then you put the layer of Mod Podge on top. So mine's very ocean-like. Okay. Again, underneath, then I go over. Okay. So I have this beautiful guy started. You'll see I have some texture in there. It's okay. And you can see through it, which kind of makes it nice. It looks almost like, it's got a little translucence to it. Okay, so I'm not going to finish all of this in this video, but I want to show you the bottom. So after you're done, go back around with your Mod Podge and, make sure it's all covered nicely. 2, don't put it on too thick. See how I have that whiteness? I kind of just make sure I brush it so it doesn't have any goopy, goppy stuff. Okay, on the bottom, you can kind of wrap it on the bottom if you want. If you want to do the bottom of it, you can. I've also seen some where they leave a little space out and then they put a candle in it. So if you wanted to make this into a candle instead, or a candle holder, like a votive holder instead, or maybe you just give her the container and you let Mom decide what she wants to do it, or Grandma. Grandma would love this too. Okay, so for the top on these ridges, what I do is I glue it on there and then I lay on my piece and I leave it up here. And sometimes you have to add glue as you go along. Or the mixture as you go along. But I'm just going to let them hang off the edge like that. Okay. I'm getting this all. Okay. Then I'm going to put this here. Oops. Okay, so then on the inside, depending how much you had here, and I might take my time a little bit more on this, okay? What I would do is you take it and you put it right on that inner lip. Because you're not drinking out of this. We're going to put some water in it, and it'll seal it with that Mod Podge. So then I just fold it over the edge there, and that way, oh, that one's not cooperating with me. It's clean all the way up to the top. And I add a little extra. Make sure these are all down. Okay. And then I finish up my vase. Okay. Pretty cool, huh? All right. When you're done, you can maybe add a little rope or a little ribbon and put a bow on it. Maybe we make a tag and you add that to it. It says #1 mom, however you want to. But this is the one with all the bright colors. This one is more all one color. Maybe you get her favorite color and you do that. Up to you how you do it. Okay, have fun with it. I can't wait to see what you guys create for mom. Maybe you send me a picture with mom in it. All right, thanks. Have fun, guys. Happy Mother's Day.